I'm not going to go on and on about how trading on social media or trading in the media in general is portrayed and how it's not real and how it's fake and yada, yada, yada. But what I am going to tell you is what my trading looked like when I was unprofitable versus what it has looked like the past 15, 16 months of consistent, tracked profitability. And the biggest differences that I see as I take a step back and reflect upon what I was doing and what trading really isn't all about and what trading now for me is all about. I do want to give you a disclaimer here because this is personally just my experience. I can only speak from me. I can't say that, oh, if you do this, this is the way, or you must do this because this is the way. There really is no way. There are countless ways. There are infinite ways to make money. Everyone is unique and you're going to figure out your own things. But there are concepts and mindset shifts that I have now seen over the past couple of years that have been drastically positive for my results when I step back and actually think about what I've been doing. So let's start with what trading is not. I wrote down a couple of points that I thought were the most important to touch on as I was just thinking about this yesterday. And this idea has been kind of going through my head for a little bit of time, but I finally got to like, okay, this is actually something that I want to talk about. And I felt that it was important enough to make a video on. First is doing random shit expecting something to work or to stick. You've all probably heard the definition of insanity, doing the same thing over and over, expecting a different result. And this is exactly what I was doing for a period of time. Dip buy trading, breakout trading, EMA trading, Bollinger Bands, this, VWAP, bounce that, all these different things on options, on stocks, on penny stocks, on futures. I was all over the place. And it's actually funny because I will to some degree go back to when I first got into really seriously trading was back in 2019 when I had some sort of a strategy. I mean, I really did without really knowing it when I was trading penny stocks. And that served me very, very well for 2019, 2020, and then 2021, the first 2 months. If you recall and know what happened in the penny stock market, they've never been the same. Think back to the influx of money, the COVID traders, that environment. And I will say, yes, it was easier in that environment, but I look back and say, I had a more sustained period of profitability because I was following, to some degree, a set system without really knowing it. Prior to that, I was dabbling and was not consistent. And then shortly after, or in 2021, I really hit a wall and I started doing I was like trying to figure out what I should be doing, but I couldn't figure it out. I was all over the place. And so I kept doing different things, expecting something to stick, when the reality was if I just focused on one thing that made the most sense to me, I could have crafted a strategy around that thing and potentially achieve some sort of profitability a lot sooner. Who knows where I would be today? But I didn't. Another thing that trading really is not is predicting which way the market's going to go in a given day or a time frame. So as an example, let's say you go, to someone on YouTube or on CNBC and someone talks about a stock or whatever and they have their target. And yes, the S&P target or Tesla's target, this, that, and the other thing, they might say that they're looking at the chart and I think we can get to here, The reality is, it's kind of irrelevant. Not kind of, it is actually very irrelevant. And when someone looks at something, they're just looking at it because they think that there's a higher probability of this over this based off what they've seen, but they can't control what's going to happen. Anything can happen. News, overall market, overseas, who knows? Like anything could happen. So that type of prediction is kind of irrelevant and it should be looked at with a different framework. And the framework is, yes, I see this chart, and yes, I do believe it has a higher probability of getting to here versus here, but as long as I manage my risk, I don't care what happens. If I replicate this situation over the course of an entire year, and say there's 100 examples, if it gets to my target, I'll make money. If it doesn't, I'll lose a specified number of dollars, and that should be smaller than what I win, and ultimately, I'll be positive. But this exact situation or this today's prediction doesn't matter. It feeds into the having to be right, and I see it all the time in my own personal life as well. You know, people who ask me about things now because they know kind of what I do and stuff, but they think that I have the answer. I have no idea. Then they ask, well, so what do you look at charts for? I don't look at charts because I can read a chart and say, oh, it's going to do this. I don't know. I look at the charts and say, hey, I've seen these situations before. And based off of what I've seen, there's a higher probability of this over this, or there's a higher probability that if I do this in the long run, I'll make money if I manage my risk a certain way and target a certain level. But I just do that across a large sample size. It's not about this trade being right. So people ask for, advice. It's like, I can't give it to you. I really can't. This is the advice. This is the actual advice. This is where the gold is at. It's not in where is Tesla going to go tomorrow. People who talk about 80% win rates with a 3-to-1 risk reward, run. Trading is not like that. In theory, it could be. It's not like it's impossible. I'm not going to sit here and say it's impossible, because if I did, then I would be countering a lot of things that I've previously talked about and stand for and believe, because anything technically is possible. You can make money trading however you want, but over the long haul, if you look at the data and if you look at interviews with a lot of hedge fund managers, they will tell you, and you'll find that some of the best traders ever seen in the world average less than a 50% win rate. Some maybe just a smidge higher and some lower, but that's across a massive sample size. We're not talking about, oh yeah, dude, check me out, buy my Discord because I had an 80% win rate last month and I have a 3-to-1 average reward. You could in theory do that last month, but then the market changes the next month, and now, there's a reason why when you buy the Discord or you buy into their program, you go on a really shitty streak and you probably lose money because they're advertising a good month, which only happens every so often. And then the law of averages to some degree plays out and it averages out. And if you weren't there for the good month, well, you're probably going to be losing money anyway. And lastly, sweating out every minute of every day. I was just talking about the lifestyle of someone who is a floor trader, or that's their job. And obviously there are different situations and everyone's different. And there are requirements when you have a job like that. And then if you do things on your own, if you're a retail trader, there may be less requirements. There are a lot less requirements. But if you are a retail trader and you're not following someone else's guidance or rules or whatever, trading does not have to be sweating on the charts with your, twitching your fingers because you're not sure if you hit the buy button or what you should do, waiting for every tick. It could be a lot simpler. People could swing trade. People could trade on the 5-minute time frame. It's up to you what you like after you try things, see what works, and then, okay, I want to continue. It's not necessarily this like, oh, it has to be like this guy or like this person, makes it seem like, or where, I got the headset on and I'm dialed in and I'm like, holy shit, I'm scalping every 2 seconds. It could be for you. It doesn't have to be. So now I want to get into what trading actually is for me. We kind of covered what it's not and then a little bit of what it is. Let's dive deeper into what it actually is for me. But first, I do want to thank the sponsor of today's video, Iron Beam.
Welcome to Iron Beam, the future of futures trading. With our cutting-edge chart trading feature and 300+ indicators, you can now trade directly off the chart anytime, anywhere. Delivering seamless trading across all platforms, the Iron Beam journey is supported by 24-hour trader support, low day trade margins, and no account minimums. Iron Beam brings the future into the present. Join now and augment your trading experience.
Okay, so the first thing that I wrote down here was trading is building out your own unique system and strategy. You can say system or strategy, same thing. And what I mean by that is there are infinite ways to trade and make money. There are almost infinite assets that you could trade. Using someone else's ideas, using, knowledge of technical analysis, using knowledge of fundamental analysis, using whatever you want to use as kind of like the fire starter in your own strategy. But then you ultimately build out what the fire is going to look like. You take the logs and the sticks, or you start with the starter, you throw some little sticks on top, then you throw the bigger logs, and then you throw bigger logs, and then you have this massive fire. But the fire starter is the only thing that you can take from somebody else. You're not going to be able to take their entire brain, because what the logs and all that represents is your mind and your brain. All you take is an idea that pops into your head that you listen, you see, you learn, and then you have to take that and run with it. And ultimately, that is how it has to be, because it is such a unique thing to you, how you manage risk, how you handle drawdown, how you handle winners, how you handle trading this asset versus this asset, your risk reward, your win rates. All of those things are unique to you, and there's no right answer. There literally is no right answer. So I had to figure out what the best way to approach it for me was. And for me, what it ends up being is roughly a 50% win rate strategy. So a strategy that gives me roughly a 50% win rate across a shit ton of trades. Like, we're talking 1,000+ trades now that I've tracked, and that's where I fall, like a 49%. But I, on average, make like 1.8 to 2x what I lose. Now, maybe not every single trade, but on average, I've been making maybe 1.6 to 2 on every trade versus a 1 risk, which is awesome. So to me, that's super profitable, and I can maintain that over the long term. That is what works for me. But for somebody else, they might say, dude, I cannot have, a 50 or 48% win rate or 49. I have to win more than half the time. So they might look for a strategy that has maybe a 60% win rate, but their average risk reward is more like a 1-to-1, meaning that they make $1 on winners, they lose $1 on losers, and they win 62% of the time. And that works for them because it's profitable. You have to follow or find what works for you. And I hate saying that because it's like, oh, okay, click off, whatever, fuck this guy, whatever. No, but that's actually what it is all about. It's not about trying to be perfect or follow this person's strategy to a T. It's you, what works best for you, how your brain, how your mind, how your emotions can handle trading a certain way over a large sample size in the long run. Trading is also on my time, baby. That's what I love about it. It's on my time. If I want to trade the 5-minute time frame because it fits my strategy, I'm going to go ahead and do that. If I want to swing trade, which I prefer, I'm going to do that. But if I don't see anything that I like that fits my strategy, I'm not going to trade. If I know that around earnings season or around this time of year or around Fed meetings is not the best time for me because it's too volatile for my strategy, then guess what? I'm not going to trade. I'm not going to feel pressured to do so because I don't need to make money every day. That's not the reality. You're not going to be able to make money every single day. So why wouldn't you just trade when you have a better probability of making money? And that's only really known after you track your data. Trading is unknown. Your results are unknown until you have the data from a system, from following a set of criteria, doing kind of the same thing over a larger sample size. Then you could start to say, okay, I could make something of this or not. I use TradeZella. I'll link them down below along with the sponsor of the video. But I think that that's one of the most important things. And it's not very exciting. And most of the time, it really isn't. When things get exciting and the market's moving fast, it could be, oh my gosh, like I'm getting my heart's pumping a little bit. I can see that, and it has happened. And it doesn't necessarily mean that it's a bad thing. It could be a good thing because you can handle that very, very well. But you might find that you don't through your data, through tracking, through journaling the data. And so when you get like that, your heart rate starts pushing up, you might say, okay, I close down, I don't trade today or this week or whatever the time frame is. Once you have the data, the game of randomness diminishes, meaning you come to the market and you kind of know. I mean, like, you don't know what's going to happen today or tomorrow necessarily, but you kind of know, hey, if I just keep doing the same things that I've been doing over the past 100 trades, 2,000 trades, in my case, 1,200 trades. If I keep doing the same things that I've been doing for, 1,200 trades, I'll probably make money over the next 1,200 trades. So I'm going to keep doing that. And it becomes kind of like a job, just kind of like an everyday thing, because to a degree, we remove some of the randomness when you look at the bigger picture and you're following a set strategy. I hope it was helpful. This is my 2 cents on what trading is versus what it isn't. Curious your thoughts in the comment section down below. Peace.